I ain't gonna sit here and cap. I be seeing a lot of like these type of videos on TikTok, and I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, I might start reacting to them on YouTube. And I honestly didn't know what to type in to find them, but then it showed up on my recommended, so I ain't even had to look today. So that's what we finna do. We finna watch one of the movie recaps called "Zombie Dad Has 48 Hours to Save His Daughter Until He Fully Turns Evil." Let's get into it, man. We got a long video ahead of us. It's not really that long, but you know I talk so.
Doing what I'm supposed to. Why you acting brand new? Girl, I want to old you. All these hoes in my DM, but somehow I chose you. I can tell that something's wrong, girl, you know I know you.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna be doing these a lot too, cause I be real life interested. Cause every time I'm scrolling through my TikTok and I see one, I always swipe. You know what I'm saying? Still got COVID. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm coughing. Yeah, I got COVID. Yeah, I actually do. Let's get into the dang video. God damn it.
Welcome back to Fox Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Cargo, released in the year 2017. The movie is set in a post-apocalyptic world where a deadly virus has turned most of the human population into zombies. Because of this, society is all...
It's funny because we talking about COVID. They literally talking shit right now in the group chat about COVID, bro. Like, somebody just told me the SMD, and they said that I'm mad because I tested positive. You damn right I can't go outside. Fuck.
Across the world have crumbled, and humans have gone back to the ancient ages. At the start of the movie, we're introduced to a couple, Andy and Kay, and their 1-year-old daughter, Rosie. The family
look at the little baby!
And is living on a houseboat. In the evening, while Andy is navigating the way, he suddenly notices 2 kids playing on the side of the river. Taken aback, he immediately calls them, but continues his journey after the kids' father pops up and draws a revolver from his belt. After a while, Andy stops at a place...
I ain't gonna lie, that's one thing about these zombie apocalypse movies is nobody trusts each other, bro. Like, you saw how he was quick to pull up, pop out the revolver, like, hey, what's up? Like, what you rolling up with my family for? Like, what's up with you? I ain't gonna lie, I probably would do the same shit. You feel me? I don't know. I got a fake one right here. I don't know if I could pull it out on YouTube or I would. Just the front a little bit. But I don't know if I could pull it out on YouTube. I don't want to get demonetized, nothing like that. We gonna get right back into it.
Starts collecting some supplies from the river. Despite the recent discovery, Kay reveals that their food supplies are running low. She then proposes they venture into the land to find better supplies. However, Andy is skeptical of the idea as he believes it's too dangerous. The next morning, Andy discovers an abandoned boat on the riverside and gets delighted. He immediately goes inside to inspect it and finds a lot of food and also a wine bottle. As he's looking for more supplies, he suddenly hears some unusual sounds from the other room. Being the smart man that he is, Andy decides to refrain from the noises and head back to his boat. He hands the supplies to Kay, but she is suspicious about them. Later, after Andy has fallen asleep, Kay decides to inspect the abandoned sailboat alone. She thinks that the place is safe, oblivious to the fact that something dangerous is lurking inside. Unfortunately, as she's scavenging some supplies, an unknown creature drags her inside and bites her. In the next scene, Andy wakes up to the sound of Rosie's sobbing and starts searching for Kay. Just then, he notices some blood marks on the floor and panics. Meanwhile, Kay is in the bathroom trying her best to stop the bleeding from her knee. Since the bite is from a zombie, she has less than 48 hours until she gets transformed into one of them. With time running out, she investigates a bag that Andy had earlier collected from the river.
That's
it contains a bracelet that counts the length of time an infected has left, which Kay wears, as well as an injection that neutralizes the brain, allowing an infected to transition painlessly. After a while, Andy tries discussing their options with Kay, but she is too traumatized to answer. Seeing her condition, Andy decides on taking a big risk. He agrees to venture on land in hopes of finding medical help.
Ain't no medical help, bro.
Girl...
See, all these zombie movies, they all want to go to try to find medical help, bro. Ain't no cure, bro. Ain't none of that. It's up. I ain't gonna lie. And this is no funny. If anybody was in the zombie apocalypse with me and you get bit, I'm not saving you. I'm blowing your head off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, say goodbye. There ain't no cure. Ain't no medical attention. Ain't no none of that.
And throws it inside a nearby pit. Just then, some gurgling sounds are heard from inside the pit, and this irritates the little girl. Meanwhile, Andy and Kay discover an abandoned vehicle and get into it. As they're about to leave, a zombie suddenly approaches them, but they manage to escape unscathed.
They ain't got no
After a bit
blick
of
or nothing?
driving in the wilderness, Andy pulls over to look at the map while Kay changes Rosie's diaper. Just then, Kay starts experiencing the initial symptoms of the zombie virus. She drops to the floor and starts convulsing, but Andy quickly calms her down. Following this,
What
the
was
scene
that?
again cuts
Mouth!
to Thumi, who is throwing a snake into the same pit. However, there are no noises heard this time, so she rushes out from the place. Back in the car, Kay starts returning to her senses.
What's wrong with that little
gradually.
girl, bro?
She checks her wound and finds it leaking with a yellow slime-like substance. Horrified,
Ew.
she storms out of the car and accuses Andy of keeping her development hidden from her. She then expresses her desire to depart, citing Rosie's safety as the reason, but Andy calms her down, assuring that they will seek medical help soon. Before continuing
Why
their
you lying
journey,
to her?
he also destroys the door handle to prevent Kay from escaping again.
Bro,
In
what?
the next scene, while the family is
Bro,
traveling,
that is so dumb. Cause what if she turned right next to you, you don't even notice, and like, or maybe she about to turn and she want to open the door, and like, bro, like that's stupid. I ain't gonna lie. Cause I mean, yeah, I guess he can get out his car door too, but like, come on, bro. I don't think that's smart. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty stupid. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Andy
dumb.
suddenly spots
Maybe
a
I'm dumb.
man on the road and takes a sharp turn to avoid hitting him. Unfortunately, the car collides against a tree, leaving Kay severely injured. Rosie is unharmed by the accident, but Andy passes out due to severe exhaustion. He awakens
Yeah,
hours
GG's.
later and attempts to wake Kay up,
GG's,
but
bro.
she is already
She's
transformed into a
gone.
zombie.
She's gone, bro.
Afraid, he attempts to exit the vehicle with Rosie, but gets bitten by a zombified Kay. Andy somehow manages to escape and applies an injection to Kay in hopes of pacifying her. He then takes her bracelet, puts it on himself, and sets out on his journey with Rosie strapped to his back. The little
This
girl,
is
who is
crazy.
accustomed to being
I
with
ain't
her
gonna
mother,
lie.
continues crying for a long time until Andy applies Kay's perfume to settle her down. After a while, as the father-daughter duo is resting, Andy suddenly spots the man who caused their accident. As he's about to confront him, he suddenly realizes that the man is a zombie. Scared,
I ain't gonna
Andy
lie,
prepares
bro.
to defend
You
himself.
should have been Pete, bro. Was a zombie from when you was in the whip, and you should have just smacked him. I ain't gonna lie, low key. Just so that wouldn't happen. Why is you just standing in the middle of a drive through anywhere? You should be able to peep if a car is coming or not. I would have smacked you regardless. Like, get out the way. I'm not putting my family life in danger just for one person. I'm smacking you. It's up.
But Thumi arrives in the nick of time and distracts the zombie, who's revealed to be her father. She draws some blood from her hand and leads the zombie away. In the next scene, Andy comes across a school and meets a retired teacher named Etta. The kind woman assists him in cleaning his bite mark and warns that he has to be careful around his daughter. Etta also reveals that all Aboriginal people in the area have departed the region. Later, Andy goes out and notices a flame ignited by the Aboriginal tribes. Turns out that they're searching for Thumi. The
What's
same
Thumi?
night, while Andy is inspecting the place, he suddenly drops to the floor and starts convulsing. This denotes that he doesn't have much time left before he turns.
What does convulsing mean? Suffers a violent involuntary contraction of the muscles, producing contortion of the body or limbs. Okay.
Turns into a zombie. The next morning, Andy returns to his senses and goes outside to meet Etta. She suggests he meet an Aboriginal named Willie, who's known for taking care of small children. However, Etta is oblivious to the fact that Willie is none other than Thumi's zombified father. Before Andy leaves, he's warned to stay away from the Aboriginals, as they kill every zombie they encounter. After a while, Andy reaches an isolated place to give Rosie water. There, he notices several zombies with their heads buried in the ground.
The
Scared,
heck?
he rushes away from the place, but one zombie starts following him. He locates a vehicle and attempts to take it, but is stopped by a guy named Vic, who saves Andy from a zombie that had been tracking him.
Boom!
Vic is stuck beneath some gas tanks, so he hands over the car keys to Andy, who promises to rescue him first. Wasting no time, Andy starts the car and pulls the weight that was trapping Vic.
Yes, sir.
The two immediately drive away
W
from
Vic.
them, leaving the zombies behind.
W Vic,
In the
man.
next scene, the duo arrives at Vic's refuge, which was once a gas plant outpost. There, Andy meets Vic's wife, Lorraine, who is surprised to see him. After a while, Vic suggests Andy leave his daughter with Lorraine so the men can work together. Turns out that Vic is a zombie collector who terminates zombies and gathers their valuables. He believes that once the world becomes normal again, people will pay good money for the valuables. However, his techniques of attracting the dead are somewhat controversial. He puts live humans inside cages as bait to lure the zombies and trap them. Andy
Nah,
goes near
that's
the cages
crazy.
to inspect, but gets sad to find Thumi there. Inside the shelter, as Lorraine is
Oh,
playing with
that's
Rosie,
Thumi.
she discovers the yellow slime on her belly. Outside, Vic and Andy go to another cage. To attract zombies, he uses intestines, a radio, and blood, all of which make Andy question himself for a while. When the guys return to the shelter, Lorraine mentions that she cleaned up little Rosie. Later, while Andy is with his daughter, his hand suddenly starts twitching. Because of this, he quickly puts his daughter back in her makeshift crib. Just then, Lorraine approaches him and reveals that she's not Vic's wife. In fact, the evil Vic saved himself by sacrificing her husband and other workers at the gas plant. As the two are talking, Vic arrives there with a gun. He then knocks out Andy with the same gun, and the scene fades.
Yo,
to
he
black.
gangsta.
Andy finds himself in the same cage as Thumi. Desperate to get out, he comes up with a plan and attaches some raw intestines to a rope. The plan works, and soon a horde of zombies start pulling the rope, making the door open. Sensing the opportunity, Andy and Thumi make a run for it.
Out of
They
there.
return safely to the shelter and retrieve Lorraine and Rosie. As they try to escape, Vic emerges and starts shooting at them. Lorraine shows herself and attempts to stop him, but it's too late as Vic accidentally shoots her dead.
Damn.
The trio manages to escape from Vic, and they decide to spend the night in
W
a small
Lorraine,
cave.
man.
Andy
W
and Thumi
Lorraine.
help each other break their chains and soon fall asleep.
R.I.P. Lorraine,
However,
man.
at midnight, Thumi wakes up to some strange noises and spots Andy showing zombie-like characteristics. The next morning, Andy has reverted back to his normal self, so the group continues their journey. On the way, he bluntly tells Thumi that her father is not going to get well, and this upsets the little girl, causing her to run away. Just then, Thumi discovers her father straddling on the tree, dead. Andy arrives to console her, but after Thumi becomes ungrateful, he quickly departs. Afterwards, he suffers another nervous breakdown and tries to bury his head in the ground. Thumi stands by the tree, heartbroken, but hears Rosie's cry and rushes to her aid. When Andy wakes up, he's surprised by Thumi, who has chosen to assist him in reaching the river. Later, they board a motorboat and proceed to the camp where Andy last saw the family.
Hey, you better get her a gun just in case you turn so she can boom you out your right, you know what I'm saying? Cause
there. Hence, Andy, along with his daughter, leave to find the family, while Thumi decides to stay inside.
found a 2DS.
Soon, Andy spots the father, but sadly, he's been bitten by a zombie. The man shows him his loaded revolver for the second time and claims that there are 6 bullets there, 4 of which will be used for him and his family. The man then tells Andy that he can use the remaining 2 bullets once his family is no more. Horrified by the idea, Andy tries to stop the man, but to no avail. As he walks back dejected, he hears 4 gunshots and flinches at each of them. After the whole family is dead,
That's
Andy takes the gun
crazy.
and considers taking his own life. Suddenly, Thumi approaches him, removes her leaves, and declares that she's ready to return home. This brings renewed hope in Andy, and he now has a reason to meet the Aboriginal people. His plan is to somehow reach the natives and hand over Rosie to them. Continuing their journey, the trio reaches a railroad tunnel where they're suddenly approached by Vic. Scared, Andy distracts Vic while Thumi hides with Rosie inside a nearby parked truck. Soon, a fight ensues between the men, and Andy tries to shoot Vic, but sadly misses each time. After the tussle, Vic comes out from the darkness and grabs Thumi out of the car. He
Dang.
then knocks her head on the rails. While Thumi writhes in
Damn.
pain, Vic takes control of Rosie. A limping Andy gets up to check on Thumi, who is still alive. He then finds Vic cradling Rosie and demands his daughter back. At first, Vic refuses, but he ultimately returns the child while mourning Lorraine's untimely death. After this, the group
Man, you
continues
killed
their
her!
journey. Unfortunately, on the way, Andy's time runs out and he starts turning into a zombie. He then gathers all his energy and begs Thumi to take care of his little girl. After Thumi agrees, Andy bids her goodbye and puts a guard in his mouth so that he doesn't hurt anyone. He then wraps the piece of meat from earlier on a stick and secures his wrists. Soon, he falls unconscious and wakes up as a zombie. Despite turning into an emotionless monster, Andy still carries the children on his back as he is drawn to the attached meat. After a bit of walking in the excruciating heat, the group finally arrives at the Aboriginals' camp. The natives immediately apprehend Andy, while Thumi and Rosie are approached by her mother. Just then, an elderly native tries to eliminate Andy, but Thumi stops him. She then grabs Kay's perfume bottle and sprays it on Andy one last time. Surprisingly, the scent brings him back to life for a split second, and he takes his last breath. After this, Thumi finally allows the native to bring an end to Andy's misery. The movie ends as the Aboriginals inspect Thumi and find a thank you note written on her tummy. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it.
I ain't gonna lie, W movie. Hey man, y'all let me know what y'all thought about that in the comments. Let me know if y'all want more. For me, I'm trying to just make a bunch of videos because I ain't got nothing else to do. You feel me? Your boy got COVID. I ain't got nothing better to do. I'm probably gonna start streaming in a little bit too, but who knows? I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. It's your boy, so we out.